Are you feeling the pressure? Yeah, India Pakistan? You are? Good. You should. Am I feeling the pressure? Never, when the best insurance policy in cricket broadcasting is alongside Mr. Bhogle is here. Sir, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing very well, thank you. I wonder why there should be any pressure at all, because you and me having pressure is not going to affect the outcome anyway.
True, we're just talking.
Yeah.
But it's just that sometimes when in a one anchor, two expert studio, one unfortunately gets stuck in traffic, the other has to sort of carry the show, right? So where is Dinesh Karthik?
DK would have come faster if he had come from Chennai to the airport, taken a helicopter and got here.
I think he's
He
getting
left an
mobbed.
hour ago.
I think he's getting mobbed on the roads of Lower Parel because of his really fashionable clothes. I don't know if he'll be in the state to do a show as soon as he arrives, but we'll try and get DK in the studio. It's India versus Pakistan. There's another special reason why we're going to have a very, very special broadcast today. What could that be, sir?
Sorry? क्यों? There's a game today. Pakistan are bowling first, right?
एक और वजह है.
हाँ, बोलो.
Um,
जब उम्र हो जाती है ना इतनी, तो लैंडमार्क्स आते जाते हैं.
अरे सर,
आपके भी होंगे.
नहीं नहीं नहीं. देखिए, there is one of the reasons why I am in this profession is the man sitting here on that fancy red sofa. And Mr. Bhogle, the Superman of cricket broadcasting, today celebrates 40 years in cricket broadcasting. सर, आज तो एक नहीं दो हाथों से सैल्यूट आपको.
40 years since the first one day international.
तो उससे ज्यादा हो गया क्रिकेट ब्रॉडकास्टिंग.
2 दिन रणजी ट्रॉफी मैच हुए थे उसके पहले.
वाह, तो भाई ऐसा है कि जो कुछ 100, 150, 200 करोड़ हर्षा भोगले फैंस हैं, #40 years of हर्षा भोगले के साथ ट्वीट कर सकते हो. तो मैं कोशिश करूंगा कि आपके कुछ ट्वीट्स इनको दिखा दूं और इनके पिछले 40 साल की बातें हम करेंगे. मैं हिंदी में क्यों बात कर रहा हूँ?
I have no idea. I have no idea. Maybe you got so happy that DK is not there that you launched into Hindi.
He gave us a long monologue on Hindi films yesterday. He spoke about Jawan and the other Hindi films he's been watching. But yes, let's come back to the cricket. We will talk about Harsha Bhogle's 40 years of excellence during our mid-game show. For now, let's focus on India versus Pakistan. Harsha, truth be told, Pakistan clear favourites?
At the moment, to me, the only thing that matters is that the weather forecast has done a fabulous U-turn. The weather forecast as of yesterday morning was 90% rain today, 100% rain tomorrow. So there was a big laugh going around about, oh, you're using the reserve day, extra day, it's going to rain even more the next day. But you know, when you come to the subcontinent, maybe in the weather's a cricket lover.
Yep.
The weather's turned around, and there's one item here on the app. I'm on the app that's caught my eye, which is Sanjay and Waqar Yunus did the pitch report, and they said the curators have also watered the pitch. That means they're so confident. They were, when they watered it, they were so confident of the bright sky that they would not be presenting a damp pitch, that they were absolutely certain it will dry out again in time. That means they are confident of the weather.
And so we'd all hope that the reserve day does not come into play. Unfortunately, this issue has sort of, overtaken cricket conversations. Where are you on that debate?
I don't think it's fair on the other teams. If I was the coach of Bangladesh or the coach of Pakistan or the person or the coach of Sri Lanka, I may not have been as polite, because it has the possibility of influencing who goes into the final. When you play a tournament, you want to win the tournament. Yep. This Asia Cup is always peculiar because the Asia Cup always serves two purposes. You obviously want to win, but you also want to prepare for the bigger tournament. The Asia Cup is always a satellite of the nearest world event that is happening. But when you get to the Asia Cup, you want to win it. And if you say, okay, I could have got 2 points one day if I had the reserve day, but because there is no reserve day for me, I'm sharing points 1-1, where someone else has the possibility of getting 2 points, then that's not fair on me. So I believe once you get into the tournament, then everybody's equal.
At what point should commerce stop influencing things? Where is that line?
It is impossible to separate commerce in today's time. This is clear. This is a commercial decision. I think everyone accepts it's a commercial decision. Look, we need an India-Pakistan game to go on. Who's funding the Asia Cup? It's the networks that are funding the Asia Cup. The network wants an India-Pakistan game. It stands to logic that they want an India-Pakistan game. But there are twin objectives. One objective is, yes, the Asia Cup has to remain a vibrant, commercially successful tournament. And so you must allow the shareholders to be rewarded, the stakeholders to be rewarded. So that is one possibility. Try and see that there is a reserve day for every game. Yep. If we can take a look at the schedule, you know the schedule by heart, I know.
Yep.
There's a game on the 10th, then India play on the 12th, then Pakistan play their last game on the 14th. That 12th game is an India game too.
Yes, India-Sri Lanka on the 12th.
But there is no reserve day for that game.
There isn't one announced yet.
But there isn't one. They might, if they're going to make it up as they go along, I don't know. But there isn't a reserve day for that game. Yep. Now, what if India lose today and Sri Lanka are in with a chance of winning that game?
They have that 13th as a cushion.
But we're not using the 13th. Then there's a game on the 15th. We're not using the reserve day on the 16th. So I'm not very, I must admit, I'm not very comfortable with what they've done.
It isn't good for the long-term health of the Asia Cup as a concept.
It sends out different messages to different stakeholders. So as I said, if I was Bangladesh or Sri Lanka, I would say, excuse me, but can you tell me where we stand? So you've got to find a mix between commerce and the actual playing of the game. I do believe that once the tournament starts, it should be same. I mean, where do you stop? Tomorrow you can say, okay, we require India and Pakistan to be there. So can we give them extra reserve players? Can we give them extra injury subs? So, uncomfortable.
Well, may sense prevail and maybe not need this reserve day, and that will in some way mean that, well, it'll end up being a level playing field. We hope a full game. Pakistan have won the toss and they've chosen to chase. Have they looked at what happened last night, saw the pitch behave the way it did? They know the conditions really well. I thought they'd want to bowl in the evening, Harsha.
Babar says, I think there's a bit of moisture. We need to use that.
Okay.
So maybe they thought, look, last time also India batted, we had them in a bit of trouble.
Yeah.
Let's try and put them under pressure straight away. Maybe they want to chase. This Pakistan team chased a lot better. I remember in the middle of the last decade, when Pakistan had to chase, suddenly there'd be panic stations. I remember one game against Ireland, they had to chase in the 2015 World Cup, and there were panic stations saying, oh my God, what are we going to do now? So maybe Pakistan also want to put themselves under pressure, saying against a good team, let us chase. Because I talked about the twin objectives of the tournament, there's twin objectives for the teams as well.
Yep.
Which is, let us get into as many situations as we can before the tournament starts, so that we can put a little bit of players under pressure. I mean, they bat deep, but their middle doesn't bat that much.
Yes, for long they've relied on their top three. Pakistan, of course, once again announced their 11 last evening. This goes to show that this team is pretty much sure of what their World Cup combination is going to be. Fahim Ashraf came in for your good friend Mohammad Nawaz. What do you make of that move?
My good friend, why? What have you done,
so
Nawaz?
Famous. You made him so famous on it.
What has he done, Nawaz? He was under pressure. No. Pakistan have this great advantage in the way their team is structured. They pick 10 players. These 10 players pick themselves, unless you want to look at someone else in the middle order, you want to look at Saud Shakir in the middle order, but otherwise 10 pick themselves. That leaves their fifth bowler. 3 fast bowlers and Shadab pick themselves. Yes. Their options are Nawaz, their options are Usama Mir, their options are Fahim Ashraf. So if they think the conditions require you an extra seamer, you can play an extra seamer. But the biggest plus is each of those 3 is perfectly capable of batting at 8. In fact, even capable of batting at 7. I don't know, I've not seen much of Usama Mir, but the other 2 perfectly capable of batting at 7. So they have that flexibility. So today they're saying, I think India played spin really well.
Yep.
The moment Shadab and Nawaz came on, the pressure seemed to go off. Yep. So let's see if we can use a seamer and keep the pressure on. Fahim Ashraf is not the quickest in the world. He's not hurting anybody, but he's a good cricketer.
They should enjoy Fahim Ashraf's 125, 130, shouldn't they?
Yes, but he's a skillful player. Sometimes he takes a new ball as well. He doesn't need to here, but he's a skillful player.
Well, Babar Azam, the Pakistani captain, believes that they hold an edge. He's not one to make those grandstanding statements. He's not one to talk big, but here's his quote. Given the continuous cricket we are playing both in Pakistan and Sri Lanka, you can say that we hold an edge over India. That is, we've been playing here in Sri Lanka for the past 2 months or so. It's a fair assessment of his own strengths. It
is, and you're absolutely right that he's not given to grandstanding. But I think we must start grandstanding now. DK, from that door to the seat was probably the fastest you have moved all day.
Faster than your run in Melbourne.
This has been the wildest 1 hour of my life. My car got stuck, And then once I got down, I don't know, in the Visarjan, there are all these cameramen and all taking photos of the Ganpati. Man, about 7 of them started following me when I was walking back to the hotel. It was this crazy, but all's well.
So
that
you were
ends
right.
well.
You were right. Did they ask you about what you're wearing today?
I don't think that was at the top of their heads right now, but it's quite an
He's been
experience.
giving away gifts to people, souvenirs. Yeah, Lelo Tika ka colorful shirt.
We'll let him breathe for a while I answer.
Babar Azam,
Yeah,
yes.
answer. He's an understated kind of person. In many ways, we say Babar Azam is walking in the footsteps of Virat Kohli, and those are giant footsteps that he is walking in. And so far, he has said, I'm worthy of walking in those footsteps. You never know what happens later. But as personalities, they're different. Virat is, or was, I think it's fair to say, in your face, leading from the front, saying, come, follow me. Babar, in his statements, is a little more understated. I remember doing a Cricbuzz in conversation with him. Very gentle, very understated. But in many other ways similar. So he's not the kind to come out and say, Yaar, India kaun hoti hai?
Uh-huh.
So he'll say, we have the edge. And I think it's a fair statement. At this stage, given the amount of cricket they have played and their team composition, I think it's not a wrong statement to make that we have a little edge.
Over the last 30 years, India and Pakistan have had different kinds of leaders. Azharuddin, very understated. MS Dhoni, again, very cool. Saurav Ganguly, very much in your face. Imran Khan was what he was. Inzi had his own way of doing things. Two countries have had their own journeys. India is now evolving in a very different way as well. From a sociological point of view, Harsha, I know this is not it's a cricket show, but what does it tell you about the kind of leaders modern day India or modern day Pakistan need to be able to succeed at the highest level?
I think Pakistan need a leader who can provide pride to their society. They're going through a slightly difficult phase in their career, in their country, economically, politically. They're going through a difficult phase. Their currency is getting devalued very quickly. Imports are getting very expensive. They're going through a difficult phase. India knows what it is to be in that phase economically in the early 90s. When India had actually pledged gold, India had to open up its economy. As it turned out, it benefited all of us and we became the luckiest generation of all. So they need a leader and a team who can give pride to society. And I think this team is on the path to doing that. If they win the World Cup, it will of course be huge for them. India's at a different place. Virat Kohli as captain, 25 years ago, people would have said, turned their noses up and said, tattoo captain talks like that. Even when Saurav took off his shirt, there was only grudging admiration. It grew as time went along. Today, India doesn't mind that kind of person. Rohit is a little different from Virat, but today India doesn't mind. The confidence of the society is reflected in the utterances, in the wealth, in whatever. Eventually, it's a cricket match, and it's always a contest of two sets of skills and temperament. So it really doesn't matter. Pakistan cricket has shown many, many times that it is completely independent of its surroundings. I mean, we used to joke once that the Pakistan chairman is only appointed Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, somebody else. But that didn't affect their cricket.
Yeah.
I think the PSL has also made a big difference to their
Yes,
country.
it is a fascinating story. Two countries, two contrasting stories, two changes for Team India. How are you going to react, DK, if I say Shreyas Iyer is out because of a back spasm?
It seems to be a story that never has an ending. It's scary to a point because in an ideal world, you will want Shreyas Iyer to be out there. He needs game time.
Yes.
But to have got a back spasm could have been out of anything, just a bad sleeping position. He might have overworked something, lifted a bit of weight, which was unnecessary. It could have been any of the possible things that I've said, and it has happened. It is obviously, I think the person who will hurt the most is Shreyas Iyer because he looked good.
Yes.
He feels in good touch, and to have lost an opportunity to play against Pakistan is not something that is going to sit well with him. From the Indian team context of things, yet another game played without what they will call their first 11. Going into the World Cup, you want to play as many games as possible where you get a certain rhythm going towards how you play the games, and that will always be a question mark till the time they put out their best 11, which they feel going into the World Cup. And for me, Shreyas Iyer is a very integral piece of that puzzle, and not to have been playing today is a bit of a body blow. Jasprit Bumrah for Mohammad Shami, very expected lines. For me, the biggest question was Shardul or Akshar. They have gone towards Shardul, which I predicted yesterday on the show, and understandably so, because they feel there'll be a little bit of movement. And also, in the World Cup, there'll be a lot more games where Shardul will play ahead of Akshar, at least in the early parts of it, and Shardul will have a role to play as much with the ball, but a lot more with the bat at number 8. We also saw yesterday Bangladesh not having that batting depth at the end and losing out the game because they couldn't keep up with the pace of the game. And this is a question that India is going to be facing as well.
You know, over the years, Manish, there has been speculation about injuries around players and that how sometimes an injury is convenient to get the balance that you're looking for. I don't think we can say that today because one of India's prime objectives, India has 3 objectives. Get Bumrah as many games, get Shreyas as many games, get KL as many games in as possible. So India desperately wants, he talked about Shreyas, of course Shreyas wants to play, but India also wants Shreyas to play just as much to get that combination right. I'm a little wide of the back.
Yep.
So I hope that back has healed and that it's not going to be a problem for him going ahead because I agree with him. I think Shreyas brings a breath of fresh air at number 4. India desperately wanted Shreyas Iyer to play. So I don't see this as being an injury that is allowing India to play both KL and Ishan. Having said that, who should keep?
KL Rahul. I will keep with KL Rahul because I think India earmarked him as the keeper for the near future. So I have a feeling that KL Rahul will be the designated keeper for this match.
From a fan, sorry.
And bat at 4, Ishan at 5?
Yes.
From a fan's point of view, they'd wonder what should India's objective be? To win, because you're not allowed to use against Pakistan apparently.
Always.
Or to figure your 11 for the World Cup.
Always win, and in doing so, can you figure out what your first 11 is? Because you're not going to say, it's okay if we don't win. KL, just aram say, keep patting balls back. That's not going to happen anyway. Or Ishan, that's not going to happen anyway. Now that you've picked this side, you cannot say, suppose you have a strange situation where the openers bat 45 overs. Suppose both are in great form. You don't tell the opener, hey, opener, hang on. KL needs to get a game, and so you come back. You're not going to do that in a game like this. Now the team is fixed. There's only one objective.
Very often we obsess over one position, 2 players, 3 players, but it is an 11-member team. So the top 3 also have a job to do.
Absolutely. Top 3 form the crux of the batting, not only for India, for any other team that's competing in the World Cup. And also, if they get going, then they make things really easy for the team in the context of how the team moves forward in the tournament as well. 2019 was a great example of how, when the top 3 got going, it looked like a flawless tournament till we reached the semi-finals, and one part of it derailed and the rest of it just followed through. So if the top 3 get going, then the chances of India moving forward in this World Cup will look very, very good. And at this point of time, you have to say Rohit and Virat play a massive role. And hence, for me, Shubman and Shreyas Iyer become very key players, because here are other players who have played many World Cups, so they'll have a bit of what you could call baggage, but these are 2 players who haven't played many World Cups and they'll be fresh. They don't have the pressures that the other players around them will have. So if they find a way to do well, then eases the pressure on these guys, because if the senior pros get going, there's no better news for Indian cricket at this point of time than that.
So he said something very interesting. Sorry to interrupt. He said something very, very interesting. You go back to 2011. Who are the big names in 2011 around whom the team is structured? Tendulkar, Sehwag, Yuvraj, Dhoni. The team is all structured around this. Who were the players who played key roles in different matches there? Gautam Gambhir and Virat Kohli. Yeah. I think similarly, if Shubman Gill and Shreyas Iyer can play those kind of roles, the team will get enriched enormously.
For today, Pakistan won the toss, chose to bowl. Surprised with that?
Not at all. We saw the amount of swing and seam. And Bangladesh obviously didn't bat really well in the second innings of their match, but Pakistan will back their seamers, because the one thing that they're banking on is, if we pick the first 3 wickets within the first 15 overs, then India is in all sorts of trouble, which happened in the first game as well, before Ishan and Hardik put up that partnership. So I think they're going for the jugular here. They know their bowling is their strength and they're giving them the best conditions in terms of seam movement up front, and it is the right decision in Colombo, with rain being around and the fact that DRS could come into play. It just makes more and more sense to bowl first.
Okay. DK, I know Manish is anchor today, but you know, old habits die hard. So from time to time, I suddenly start to pretend as if I'm anchor as well. Even when you're as vastly experienced as Rohit is, as Virat is, vastly experienced players, can a bowler get into your head?
Oh, for sure.
Is Shaheen Afridi getting into the head a little bit?
100%, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you see Virat's shot in the last game, it was one that was filled with doubt, and that was on the day acceptable. But in your preparation for the game, always when Virat Kohli is visualizing, okay, who are my bowlers, he will have Shaheen Shah Afridi at the top of his head, because he's the guy he has to play when he walks in, most likely if there's an early wicket. He's taken hold of Haris Rauf to an extent. He'll have the confidence he can bat him. We all saw what he did in the 2020 World Cup. We also, Naseem Shah is somebody who obviously has nicked him off. So again, he'll be the second bowler that he'll be worried about. But first, up front, it's the LBW and bowl that Shaheen Shah can get. And with that, the problem is, if the ball naturally doesn't come in and just go straight, Virat with his current technique tends to follow at that, and that's why the inside edge happened. You could see him obviously nicking off the slip. These are the things that will be at the back of his mind. But knowing Virat, he'll be saying, I'll go and put the message across and try and play a few shots. Rohit, on the other hand, very similar. A great example is Stuart Broad versus David Warner. I mean, there have been so many occasions. He's got him about 16 times, and in the last 4-5, it was sheer pressure, because whatever he was trying to do, he was finding a way to get out, and it definitely plays a massive part in your head.
Harsha, acknowledging Shaheen Shah, the X factor, is one, but fear is another. Is it fear? I don't think it's fear.
I don't know. I haven't been at that level, so I don't know. But I would imagine if you're a Rohit Sharma or a Virat Kohli, you say, I'm not Rohit Sharma or Virat Kohli just like that, because somebody appointed me, anointed me and put those numbers. I have got those numbers by playing innings in difficult situations.
Yep.
Virat's record against Pakistan is awesome. Rohit Sharma's got 100 against them in the last time they played a one-day international in a World Cup. So they're players, yeah.
Fear is for mere mortals. You know, I think when it comes to Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, they are thinking, I need to get my team off to a good start, and these are threats. They're not going to be feared. They know that they'll have to counter them, and they are only thinking, what's the most positive way of doing that? Now, when I say mere mortals, a lot of other players will be scared of getting out. They'll be worried that, there'll be this ball that comes and nicks them off, or probably he'll bowl a good bouncer. These are what mediocre players would do. We're talking about some of the world's best here, and they will be thinking, on this day, if this pitch is how I'm expecting it to behave, these are the shots that I will play to them, and these are the balls that I probably will have to let go and leave. That's how their thought process will be, and that's what they will be practicing on the day before the game, in the lead up to the game.
You know, it's interesting. Akif Javed said that very interesting article in the Indian Express. He said they're not hitting him enough for boundaries. He said you also have to hit Afridi for boundaries. He said, I get the feeling they're only trying to play him out.
I think it is a valid statement, yes and no. And I say that yes, because they're trying to put him away if he is bowling bad. Now, what England and Australia batters have started doing a little differently, and I'm taking both these examples, the more and more I watch them, they are using the word intent. But what they mean by intent is they'll either step out to a Shaheen Shah Afridi very early in his inning, or they'll move away and look to hit him. So they create an impression to the bowler that I'm going to do something little different than just being stood there and wait for the ball to do its bit. Now that is where they have started batting a little differently. Whereas I still feel India will say, we have the technique, we'll back it, and whether it's good or bad, time will tell. But at this point of time, you have to say Shaheen Shah Afridi has the wood over India.
Given what we've seen in the Asia Cup, one of the theories is just don't lose wickets in the first 10. But should one of the two go for it against Shaheen? Can that one person have a higher risk appetite against Shaheen and Naseem?
It's a very cliched thing, and every coach, probably not a great coach, would say that, but most mediocre coaches would say, don't lose wickets in the top 10. The question is not don't lose. They also know. Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill, if you're telling me they don't know that they shouldn't lose their wickets, will be the silliest thing to say. But what they are thinking is, okay, it's a fresh day. On a given day, I'm going to see how he goes. If in case he is bowling well, then what are the shots that I'm going to play against him to put him off? Yep. Because if he's bowling badly on that given day, he's not finding rhythm, then they don't need to do. They just need to sit back and wait for the bad balls to come. But if he is actually swinging the ball late, or there is enough seam movement in the pitch where they know, even if they look to play correctly, there could be a ball that takes, like Liton Das's dismissal against Bangladesh. That was a really good ball that just moved off the pitch and he just ended up following it. So, or the KL Rahul delivery in Dubai that happened. Those are balls that you cannot play. So when you get a feel that, okay, this ball could be round the corner, that's when as a batter, you got to make the move first. You got to throw in the punch first, saying, okay, let me either step out to him or back away and create a bit of doubt so the bowler starts thinking differently.
Harsha, Brendan McCullum, World Cup final, Mitchell Starc, he went for it, lost his wicket. Is that something that can be considered against Shaheen Shah?
It depends on what your mindset towards playing is. If you say, as England are doing, increasingly Australia with Mitch Marsh, Travis Head batting in the top order, increasingly they're saying, no, this is the way we're going to play. We've got batting all the way to 9, 10. We'll just keep going. We'll play 50 overs, as has been happening for a while, like a long 20 overs game, and we'll back our batting all the way down. We'll take on. Let's go and attack him. If he gets 2 wickets, we've still got batting down to 9 or 10. I don't know if India's thinking like that.
Yesterday, Australia were 109 for no loss. They lost Travis Head first wicket to Shamsi, looking to hit over mid-on. First ball Mitchell Marsh played, he played a reverse sweep and got LBW. Now, I don't think in the Australian dressing room they're going to be thinking, oh, the Australian public is going to say, bad shot. I think he just went for it and that's the way to go.
Didn't come off.
What has Shubman Gill said about the challenge that Pakistan poses? Here's what he said. We don't play Pakistan, which is true, and we're not used to them. Fair call. Shaheen swings a lot, and Naseem is about pace and movement and likes to get help from the wickets. They present different challenges in different conditions. How do you read this quote?
Very true statement. I think he's just stated facts there. Shaheen Shah Afridi obviously gets a little bit of movement off the pitch as well. Naseem Shah is special in the sense that A, he's got pace, B, he can move the ball in and out. Whereas with Shaheen, it's just one dimensional in the way he swings the ball. It always comes back into the right hander with the newer ball. But what has made both these bowlers very tricky is A, they're obviously left and right. That is too obvious to know. But apart from that, their height, their bounce and the pace that Naseem Shah has is a little more, whereas Shaheen Shah Afridi has a lot more bounce to deal with. So different bowlers, different challenges, and Haris Rauf is a proper threat through the middle because he neither swings the ball nor seams it much, but he's got a great bouncer which skids through at a very, very awkward height for right-handed batters.
Look what we've done. We've spent a lot of time on this program thinking of what Pakistan can do. Australia at their peak would say, we will think of what we are going to do. Let the opposition imagine what we are going to do to them. If in the Indian camp, they're thinking, you've got to know what Shaheen offers, what Naseem offers, what Haris Rauf offers. But if you're thinking, Acha, what will they do? You're no longer thinking of what I will do to them. And that means they've already occupied that place in your mind. So I don't know. I mean, I've never been in that position. But if I was Shubman Gill, I'd say, yeah, he's a good player.
Shadab Khan is someone worth talking about now. Unlikely, as a cricket fan, I suppose, he's unlikely to trouble India. I know spinners have troubled India in the recent past, but how do you look at the Shadab Khan factor? These are his numbers after the 2019 World Cup. Is he the man India should look to go after in the middle overs?
Being the only spinner puts the pressure on him a little differently. How the match sets itself up will determine how Shadab Khan goes. Shadab Khan will bowl a lot more attacking if India have lost a few wickets, which basically means he'll bring out his googlies a lot more. He'll keep his length a little fuller. If India are going great guns, then you can see a very defensive Shadab Khan. In the last 12-18 months that he's bowled, the one thing that's worked against Shadab Khan is the fact that he's in many ways bowled defensively. That's why he's not picked up wickets. What his role has been is to do the holding role which a normal finger spinner could do, but he's done that to himself because he feels that if he's able to keep things tight, then wickets will fall from the fast bowlers. That's why you see Haris Rauf picking a lot more. You will see Naseem Shah, when he comes back in his second spell, has the opportunity to pick a few wickets. So Shadab Khan is transformed into that role. Does he have skill? Yes. Does he trouble the Indian batters? I can promise you, I've been part of the dressing room. He is not an easy man to take on. In ODI cricket, a lot easier than T20 because in ODI cricket, you have that extra fielder inside, which gives you the option to go above him a lot of times. So slightly short, slightly full, you can get it off to a boundary, whereas in T20, it's a more spread out field. Yeah. He bowls differently as well.
So he may have to bowl a lot against... Sorry, go
on. No, just to take off on that, I'd like to see Pakistan bowl. If, like I said in the first game, if India haven't lost a wicket in the first 10 overs, then I'd like to see how they bowl.
He'll have to bowl against Virat Kohli, who has...
Or maybe Virat hasn't come in yet.
In Colombo, yeah, well. 6 matches, 519 runs, 100 plus average. Virat Kohli. Which Virat Kohli will turn up? Well, the champion we know, Harsha.
That's only 7 innings. Sometimes the first thing stats tell you is, look how many data points you have. Over a career, is 7 data points enough to arrive at a conclusion? You could say, okay, last few games he's not been at his best. It's coincided with him not being at his best in Test cricket for a while. But you're talking about one of the greatest in white ball cricket there's been. Even the mighty Tendulkar went through 7, 8, 10 inning phases when he wasn't scoring. So I'm not worried about this. I'll be worried if he hasn't got a score in these 2 games, whatever is left here, and the 3 against Australia going into the World Cup.
Is the vibe around him different before a big game?
Oh, yes. He is a man who finds his own zone in his own way, I must say. He's a little more chirpy before the big games, but when it comes to his preparation, he's very sure about what he does. I think he has this innate ability where he is able to tune all the energy that he's got towards the game in the most crisp way compared to every other player that I've played. You can see him a lot more relaxed before a big game. He'll be talking about more chill things. It comes to him very naturally. I think the bigger the occasion, he finds a way to just calm himself in the lead up to the game a lot more. Whereas in the smaller game, I think he finds it very hard actually to pick himself up at times, especially at the back end of his career. I think in the last probably 10 big matches that I've played with him, I've been around a bit with Virat, but I've watched him closely. The bigger the game, the chirpier he is. But as the game gets closer, he's very calm about it. You can kind of feel it with the way he prepares himself as well. He prepares slightly differently. He'll not bat as much before a big game. He is doing things more mentally than physically before a big game.
The Indian innings has started. Quick predictions. India batting first.
294.
I'll back India's batting, but I'll go slightly under. I think India make 284, 285, they should win.
I like the number 301. May it be a big batting day. No Shreyas Iyer, KL Rahul and Ishan Kishan are both playing. Before we say goodbye, very quickly, let's take a look at the joy factor question. If it is Shane Warne at the MCG, Wasim Akram at Sharjah and Sean Pollock at the Wanderers, who is it at Lords? Has to be an Englishman, I guess.
Why? Have you just given a clue?
I just may have.
Okay. Is the producer screaming in your ear?
No, not yet.
Okay.
He's asking me to wrap up.
Okay.
He's asking me to wrap up because that's all we have time for. Please do send in your questions, your answers rather. And don't forget, hashtag 40 years of Harsha Bhogle. A lot more coming up on this great man's career on the mid-game show.
I thought it's about the cricket.
No.
Always is.
It's also about you. Sir, ask to banta hai. Okay. We'll see you at the 15 over mark on Cricbuzz Combox. Enjoy the game. Bye for now.